arrested. Of course, as the law states, innocent until proven guilty, but there is suspicion of something. Now, my concern is about the arms recovered from these suspects. 316 firearms, 2,884 rounds of ammunition, 216 stolen or unregistered vehicles. Okay, yeah, I'm just particular about the firearms. And every time the police arrest, we hear recovered, whether it's bandits, terrorists, Boko Haram, just criminals, kidnappers, whatever, there are always arms collected. Now, the big question is, what does the police do with it? But more importantly, what does the law say about what they should do with it? And a group, the National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, has urged Nigerian police to avail the center with the database of recovered illicit arms. The retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, Kokumo, made the request when he led management team of the center in a courtesy visit to the Inspector General, Kayode Egbetoku. So if they're asking for this, and this is an organization that should have it, that means they do not have this database. That also means that Nigerians do not have this database. So you and I don't know how many arms the police has gotten from criminals, except for when they make statements. But more importantly, what do they do with it? My guest is a legal practitioner and an analyst. He is Barrister Eugene Ode, and he joins me right here in the studio. Good day, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, Chinedu.
How you doing?
Good evening, listeners. Awesome.
Okay. So do you agree that the database of recovered illegal firearms should be public knowledge?
Absolutely. I agree. We are talking about security here.
Okay.
All right. And it's really scary when we hear such cache of arms recovered from militants, bandits, Boko Haram, and armed robbers, and so on and so forth. Even private citizens who bear unlicensed arms. We often hear that these arms have been recovered, and that's basically the end of the story. We don't follow through. Particularly, I think now that Chinedu is interested, I think the media should also put an eye on monitoring. Yeah. Not just retrieval of these arms from whoever, but what those arms, how they end up. Yeah. Very, very, very important. Because if they are not tracked to where the law says they should be, there's a tendency that Nigeria can happen to those weapons. And
yes, indeed.
Those weapons may find their way back into
the ecosystem.
Exactly.
Because it is an ecosystem, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So, I'm glad you brought that up. What does the law say about those arms when the police gets them from these criminals? Because it's obviously illegal. What needs to happen next?
The law is very clear that when those arms are recovered, they must be taken to the public armory.
Okay.
And stored in a safe confine of the public armory. When they are there, they have been registered. Any arms and ammunition that has been retrieved, either from armed robbers or from any source whatsoever, they are meant to be registered by the Nigerian police and kept in the public armory.
And this armory is managed by what body?
It's managed by the Nigerian police.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any provision for destruction? Because I know I read something somewhere that some of the arms are supposed to be. Is it disposed? I think dispose was what they used.
The law says take them to the public armory. And whatever happens thereafter is actually administrative. All right? Now, at the discretion of the IG of police or the Commissioner of Police, whoever is designated at that particular point in time, there are some weapons that may have to be destroyed. There are some that may have to be kept. All right? Because, of course, the issue of arms and ammunition, it's a global thing.
Yeah, it is.
All right? Now, there are some arms that have been recovered from these people that are very precious, very, very useful. Some of those arms can be used to fight insurgency. They can be used in period of maybe war. All right? They can be reused by the Nigerian armed forces. Okay, but what is important is that the government must take control of those weapons
Okay.
and deploy them as they think fit to so do. But other ones may have to be destroyed. For instance, if you recover a bomb, something like a bomb or something like a rocket propelled grenade, RPG, and all those kind of dangerous weapons, all right? You won't want to just keep those weapons like that. You may want to dismantle them, diffuse them. You remember what happened in Lagos some years ago, where I think it was one of these military cantonments in Lagos where there were bomb explosions and thousands of Nigerians died in that process. So many of them as a result of running away from the explosion. They caused a stampede where they died. You know, there's something about if you store these things for too long, they expire. All right?
Okay.
They might expire and become dangerous to whoever is keeping them. So sometimes these weapons have to be, destroyed and disposed of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, most survivors of whatever kinds of attacks have claimed, and we've heard this from many Nigerians, that sometimes the sound you hear from police is pa, pa. The sound we hear from criminals is do, 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 do. And they dramatically say that to mean that the criminals have better weapons than the police.
Yeah.
The weapon that we see on police officers is AK-47. In fact, we all know what a police gun looks like.
Yeah.
If criminals are better equipped and the police swings to action and recovers those weapons, should the automatic deployment of those weapons to the police not follow?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that not all the weapons should be destroyed. Some of those weapons can actually, once registered, can be reused by either the police or the armed forces.
But we don't see the police with those weapons.
They do. You will see them. You will see them with weapons. The armed forces, sometimes when they recover those weapons, they process them and reuse them. The police, they won't come out on the air and begin to tell you that these weapons we have, these weapons we recovered some time ago is what we're using to fight here, and there. Like I told you, those things are administrative. While some are destroyed, some are registered and put into the system and used legitimately by those who are assigned to use such caliber of weapons.
Okay. Well, naturally, my advocacy is for a better security architecture. We also have heard that so-and-so criminal went to rob here and they saw that person with a police gun.
Those things are true. Some of these policemen are very vulnerable. You've heard instances where policemen have been mobbed, attacked, and weapons seized from them. All right? And those weapons seized from them by these people, they don't just collect the weapons and throw away. They collect them and use them for robbery, for committing crimes. So it will not be strange when you go to a crime scene and maybe during a gun duel with police officers, you find out that the robbers, if they were overpowered, you find registered military rifles or police rifles with them. They may have attacked. For instance, this is what is happening in the north, where Boko Haram will seize and take over an entire military cantonment. When they take over a whole military cantonment like that, sometimes they seize a large cache of arms. And when they collect those arms, they don't collect them and throw away. They collect them to use them. So in a situation where they probably have a successful operation and they're able to sack a police station or sack a military base and dispossess them of their arms and then go somewhere and then operate with those arms. You won't say police connive with anybody to arm robbers or arm militants. They may have seized them by actual physical confrontation with authorities. Now, I'm not saying this to rule out the fact that there is sometimes cases where you have complicity on the side of the policemen.
I was going to go there, actually.
Which even the police authority themselves have also openly admitted that sometimes you have some unscrupulous elements amongst them in uniform, all right, who are misguided, who sometimes allow themselves to be tempted and collude with some of these criminals, and then they steal these arms and then loan them. Sometimes they loan them, they loan them to these bad people.
Arms for hire.
Yes, they hire them. They hire them to these bad people, and most times it is when those operations go bad that the truth comes out. And most times when they are traced to officers. And once they are caught, they are usually dismissed and prosecuted and punished in accordance with the Firearms Act and other laws that are applicable, like the Armed Robbery and Firearms Act.
Should there be an amendment to the protocol saying that when these arms are recovered, it is taken to the armory and it is at the discretion of the IG?
Yeah.
Should we have a better framework where the IG just doesn't get to decide, but we know that it will go from point A to point B as a matter of certainty?
Well, I don't think there's a problem with the present protocol as it is.
Well, it's not working well.
You may not really entirely say it's not working well unless you go and follow through. Like I told you, once these things happen, sometimes they come in the air and publish it. I've seen several times when repentant militants come out openly and surrender their arms. All right.
Repentant and militant in the same sentence feels wrong.
I'm just saying.
I get it.
We see it often where they come, bring a large catcher of arms, and then surrender to the authorities. What happens thereafter? The media goes quiet. All right. Now, having surrendered those weapons, they are now in the custody of the appropriate authority to be in possession of those weapons. And I've told you that the law says those weapons must be taken to the public armory, which is under the custody of the Commissioner of Police of the state and the Inspector General of the Federation. Whatever happens thereafter is entirely at their discretion. I don't think there's anything wrong with the law as it is presently. The only thing is that sometimes we want to know more. We want to follow. We want to be sure that these things actually go to where the law says they should be, and which is nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. So the person who asks a question that there is no verifiable database of all arms and ammunition that have been recovered.
Illegal, yeah.
Illegal arms and ammunition that have been recovered. There is no statistics to show exactly where they are, whether they are using them or they've been destroyed or there. I think those things are very, very important, and that curiosity is what the media should be interested in, and every Nigerian should be interested in also. I believe if the police authorities are brought into I was expecting to at least see a police official with me,
in the studio here.
In the studio here.
Sorry,
to give an explanation to these things. But it's not like I'm holding brief for them. But I think the police is so organized in that aspect, in the management of arms and ammunition. There is no time that arms go missing. All right, that the police doesn't know if they are missing from the police system. And there's no time that they are recovered that they cannot, that they don't have records. They always have these records. All right. Okay. So it's, if you're interested, it's for you to ask the appropriate authorities, and those information will be made available to you.
I'm definitely interested, as well as the organization that made that call. And I'm hoping that when we ask, we can get answers. We have a break coming up now. After that, of course, you get to be a part of the conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back. It's Silly's Hard Facts, 92.3 Nigeria Info. The IG of Police says the police arrested a total of 5,488 criminal suspects and rescued 170 kidnap victims across the country. And this is between June and July of this year. So over 5,000 suspects arrested in 2 months. The police also said they recovered 316 firearms, 2,884 rounds of ammunition, and 216 stolen or unregistered vehicles during various operations across the country. My guest is Barrister Eugene Ode, and we're talking about a database of recovered illegal firearms. When the police recovers these weapons, what happens to them? This is as the National Coordinator, National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, Johnson Kokumo, is urging the police to avail the center with a database of recovered illicit arms. And by extension, that means the general public does not know how many arms the police has recovered from criminals in months, in this year, in 5 years, or in a decade. I asked my guest, do you think this should be public knowledge? And emphatically, he said yes. So I'd like to talk to you with the little time we have. When the police recovers illegal firearms, do you trust that they are being properly documented, stored, or destroyed where need be? With over 5,000 suspects arrested and 316 firearms recovered in just 2 months, do you feel safer in your community? 0817 923 0002. 0817 923 0003. WhatsApp is 080 903 06 416. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nigeria Info PH. You can watch, listen, and engage. Please turn off your radio as you call. It's very important. Now, Barrister Ode, what exactly qualifies as an illegal firearm? Now, for the ones recovered from criminals, we can understand. But for a firearm that maybe they get from a citizen who is allowed to register, what would you need to see with me that would qualify as illegal?
Well, first and foremost, Nigerians need to know that it is not entirely unlawful or illegal to own or possess firearms, generally speaking.
Okay.
Now, the law allows Nigerians to own, to procure, own, and possess firearms. You know, this is contrary to general speculation out there that once you own a gun, you're a criminal. It's not so. The law allows Nigerians to defend, to protect themselves. All right, the right to life. Right to life is a constitutional right, and you have a right to defend yourself when the situation arises. Now, the kind of guns allowed by law is where the issues arise. But however, having said that, you need to also know that you don't just go to the market and just buy a gun off the shelf. There are standard procedures. First and foremost, you must apply to the Inspector General of Police or the Commissioner of Police, as the case may be.
Okay.
You must meet the criteria and the requirements of law for you to be able to possess firearms in terms of age, in terms of who you are as a person, in terms of your records, your character as a person. If you're an ex-convict, definitely you may not be qualified to possess firearms. If you're known to be rascally, if you're not up to the age of 40 and above, you may not be
40.
Yes, you may not be granted license to own a gun in Nigeria. And that's
Barrister Ode, 28, 29, 30, are they not entitled to defend themselves?
Well, there's a reason why the age is like that, because young people are often in terms of ability,
exuberance, and all of that,
self-restraint. Those things are things that they look at. Sometimes people who are that young, they are very easily provoked, and they find it so difficult to restrain themselves when provoked. So they can easily use it without thinking or without, but something with an older person who will process your action before you take those steps. So they look at you, not just your age, they also look at your personality. Of course, you present yourself before the police authorities, and you will be interviewed. They will probably carry out a little bit of investigation of who you are before the license will be granted. The license will be granted before you even go to procure the firearms. Now, there are particular types of firearms which are also prohibited, like long-range firearms. Individuals are not allowed to own long-range firearms.
Like sniper?
Yes, sniper guns. You're not allowed to hold military weapons. You're not allowed to hold grenades. You're not allowed to possess rocket-propelled grenades, RPG, GPMG, those military hardwares. You're not allowed to own those ones. You're not allowed to own revolvers. You're not allowed to own automatic machine guns.
But so waiting can remain now. Waiting remain now. Koboko will go can use.
So those kind of high caliber weapons are prohibited. Now you are allowed to hold water guns. You're allowed to hold Dane guns.
Okay.
You're allowed to hold Dane guns. You're allowed these days. I think there's some improvements. You're allowed to hold what they call pump action.
Okay.
You understand? So I think that's the highest an individual can possess in Nigeria, pump action. Other than that, those high caliber, high range weapons are prohibited. No Nigerian is allowed to own an AK-47.
Okay.
But in America, elsewhere, you're allowed to own all kinds of weapons.
Yeah.
Right. But in Nigeria, you're not allowed to own those kind of high caliber military hardwares, AK-47, AK-48, and the automatic rifles. You're not allowed to hold those ones. All right. But at least it's reasonable if you have a pump action in your house. All right. You have a Dane gun in your house. You have a water gun in your house. Maybe, those kind of guns that you use rubber bullets, to reasonably restrain any form of aggression or attacks on you. That is reasonably allowed.
Okay.
For purposes of self-defense. Anything outside that would be unlawful.
All right.
And illegal.
Let's take this call where you can leave out your weapon sophistication fantasy on video games. Like me, I own a few on Call of Duty, but besides that, nothing more. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Oracle.
Good evening. What's your name? Hello?
My name is Sylvester.
Okay, please speak up.
Sylvester.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, please, I want to find out why is it that police will see somebody criminal with firearm and they still say go to court?
Why would they see you with firearm and say go to court? What would you rather have them do?
I thought there's a way they should handle such people.
By?
I don't know. I thought the lawyer would be able to tell us this type of what they should
Anybody
do.
in possession
because
of...
you see somebody with gun and you still say he's a suspect, you want to take him to court.
Now,
listen.
Okay.
The way they should handle such people.
Now,
Okay, so let the lawyer answer.
Now, I've just told you now that there are some certain category and caliber of weapons that are prohibited and are unlawful, to be owned or possessed by ordinary citizens. Anybody you find unlawful with firearms, and the person is not a military personnel or a police or any security agency, all right, with some certain category of firearms, that person is holding those firearms unlawfully and illegal. In such instances, you don't tell the person to go to court, or you don't go to court to secure an order of court. In such instances, you report to the appropriate authority, in this case the Nigerian Police Force. And once the Nigerian Police Force is aware, they will take necessary steps to use, under the Police Act, to use the power given to them by law. All right? That person. And if the person was and of the charge, the person will be handed the appropriate punishments. If the person is charged under the Armed Robbery and Firearms Act, of course, the punishment is between, I think it's 20,000 naira or prison term of.
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
When was it? Like, which year did this become? Because that
The Firearms Act is an old derelict law, 1959.
because that 20,000 is not. It doesn't seem appropriate.
In fact, if you the Armed Robbery and Firearms Act is even earlier. It's even later. The earlier one is 1959. In the 1959 Act, it's a punishment of 100 naira and 6 months imprisonment. So, while you talked about review, I think these are some of the laws that the National Assembly will have to look into and see if they can review them to the current reality as it is. So if you're charged under the Firearms Act and you're found guilty, you have between a fine of 6 months imprisonment on the second, because the fact is also the weight that will be attached. But if you are caught with arms in the process of robbery, that is a different, all right. Of course, this is limited. Okay. Right? So it depends on the circumstances and the facts of the case. But these things are punitive. They are punitive. Say just go to court. It doesn't just end in going to court. They are criminal. Anybody who violates provisions of the Fire Act has committed a crime. All right, and upon conviction is liable to imprisonment or a fine or both.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much, Barrister Ode, for your time. It's always wonderful doing this with you.
My pleasure. Always.
I'm glad we've started raising awareness for that database to be public.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm hoping that we can keep the voices sounding so that we eventually get to that point where we know. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
All right. A program comes up now. It leads us all the way to the top of the hour where the news follows. Stay with us.